For my IA, I created a nutrition tracker that has a GUI interface. My criteria for success for this project were to display the software in a GUI, which would be able to display a food and its nutrition facts, and also the foods eaten on certain days or in a month. I also wanted to be able to add and edit new foods. You should also be able to add which foods you ate on a specific day. Along with this, you can search for a food previously entered and it will display the nutrition facts of that food. It should track and display the total of all the nutrition facts, which include calories, fats, carbs, and protein for a week. The program should also be able to deal with null errors in the array. And lastly, the program should be able to save and read files in order to store information for later use. And the program should be able to be run as an executable jar file so it can be used across multiple platforms. To start the program, you have to enter your physical details in order to get recommendations for how many calories, carbs, fats, and protein you should have in a day. So first you enter your age, and then your activity level based on the amount of exercise that you do in a week. And then your weight and your height. After that, the program brings you to the main display, which has all of the functions. The only criteria that I wasn't able to complete was the tracking and displaying the total amount of nutritional facts. I wasn't able to do this due to time constraints. The first functions I'm going to display are the add, edit, and display a food. When you click the add a food button, it will bring up an input window where you enter the name of the food, the number of calories, the amount of carbs, the amount of fats, and the amount of protein. Since those were all unrealistic numbers, I want to edit the food, and to do so I will click the Edit a Food button. After this, you enter the name of the food that you want to edit. Now that you have entered the name of the food, you can enter the number of calories in the food, the correct number of carbs, the correct number of fats, and the correct amount of protein. After doing that, you can display the food by clicking the Search for a Food button, and you just enter the name of the food that you want to display, and it will bring up the name of the food, calories, carbs, fats, and protein. And as you can see, it's all of the new values that I entered in after clicking the Edit a Food button. I have also previously entered some foods in order to show that the program can output multiple foods at a time, which will be shown during the display foods eaten on a certain day and the display foods eaten each day in a month. You can also see all of the foods previously entered by clicking the Show All Foods button. As you can see, it pulls up all of the foods that I have previously entered along with the apple. The next part of my program that I want to show is the Add a Day. And to do so, you click the Add a Day button, enter the date, and this will create an array for you to store the names of the foods in. And to do so, you click the Add a Meal to a Day. And the date will pop up that you want to add the meal to. After that, you simply enter the name of the food that you ate that day. One of the problems with this is that you have to input the date every single time you want to add a food to it. In order to change this, I could have a select list option where you can just click the foods that have been previously entered, and they will be added to that day without having to enter the date multiple times. I'm finishing adding foods to the day that I want to add foods to, and I will display them after I finish inputting everything. Now that I have added all of the foods that I want to show, I can click to display foods eaten on a certain day. I will then input the day that I just created, and it pulls up all of the food names that I just entered. The last thing is the display foods eaten each day in a month. In this, you just enter the date, the month number that you want to see, and it will pull up all the days in that month and the foods that you ate on those days. One other feature that I added was the display account, which will show your recommended calories, carb range, fat range, and amount of protein that you should eat in a day. This was all calculated by entering your account information in the beginning of the program. After you finish everything, you should hit Save Progress, and it will save everything to multiple text files. Now that I have saved, I can close the program, and you can see there are multiple text files where everything is saved. It saves the name of the food, the amount of calories, the amount of carbs, the fats, and the protein, all as single lines. This is so that when the program starts, when it reads from the files, it just has to read a single line sequentially in order to add things to the array. The other text files hold the date and the names of the food, which are also used to add to the array once the program first starts. And the final text file is the recommended values for calories, the low carb range, the high carb range, the low fat range, the high fat range, and the amount of protein. A few of the functions that I would like to add to the program would be the display nutritional facts at the bottom of the window. I would do this by using variables that add up all of the nutritional facts of each food entered. I would also add ways to check if a food has been previously entered, and then you would be able to simply select that food when adding a meal. Another feature that I would add would be a list that displayed the names of the foods, and then the user can just select the foods that have been previously entered to the day instead of having to input everything one by one. One last feature I would add would be a way to save multiple accounts so that multiple people could use the jar file at once without having to have a separate jar file for each person. That is all that my program has to offer.